In this video, I will give you 7 tips that will help you improve your gameplay and hit the higher score runs in the Trackblazer scenario. The first tip will be, it is okay not to race too much. Besides doing the G1 races that give you the most stats, races are only a means to buy you items. There should be a balance on spending your items and not blindly just racing. The optimal amount of runs that you should do on a career run usually range around 30 to 40 races, but there's no definite amount that you need to do a certain amount of races. I'll discuss later on more about the importance of the epithets like the triple tiara route, but before that, I also want to put something that I've learned while playing this scenario myself. The only important races in this scenario are the G1 races due to the insane stats from the epithets and more coins to buy more items from the shop. I would genuinely simplify the design race schedule from this into something like this. These G1 races are your core schedule, and you definitely cannot miss these ones. G2 and G3 races are really flexible. You will usually utilize the G2 and G3 turns as like your normal career runs, where if you need to rest, then simply just rest. If it's a good training, then click it. Most of the time, you will only want to risk doing 3 races in a row. 4 races in a row is really rare and you should avoid doing it. You could risk losing 30 stats and losing mood, which is bad if you do not have the item to fix it. The only time I would consider doing 4 races in a row if it's on the end of the year race because you simply do not get punished for doing any consecutive race at the end of the year. The second situation that I would do it's only if on your Epithet G1 race or the shop is insanely good and you definitely need to buy the item. Otherwise, stay away from running 4 races in a row. Its risk for return is not that much worth it. Okay, with that, let's talk about the epithets that I was talking before. There is 4 recommended epithets route, which is the triple tiara route and triple count route for the mile medium long distance UMA, sprint route for the sprint distance UMA, and the third route for the third distance UMA. Completing a certain epithet will give you plus 20 random stat or plus 30 random stat depending on the combination of epithet that you are doing. For us, usually the common choice is either triple tiara route and the triple crown route. Both of this is almost similar and it's up to you which one you want to run. Doing this route will give you about 200 stats in total. The most common trap we as a beginner coming into Trackblazer with these races is since we do not know the schedule epithet we're going for, we still race on turns that will lead us to having 4 race turns in a row. Let's say I'm doing the triple crown route and I'm currently on classic year early April and I've just raced the Satsuki Show. It's currently late April. Assuming there's no good training on this turn, so I should just race, right? Well, if you do this, you are creating a scenario where you will fall into the 4 race turn trap because I cannot skip the Tokyo Derby G1 race right here. And so, what should I do on this turn? Well, you can just rest if your energy is low, or if there's actually a good training, you can use the items to train, specifically stuff like the 0% failure training charm or your energy bottles. I suggest before starting your next run to make the G1 race schedule in your agenda. Just the G1's race are fine. It is the only important ones. G2 and G3 races are very flexible as I have mentioned before. They will be definitely just adjusted as you go on with the scenario. We've seen the epithets of the race, and one thing you might have noticed is that the goal races for this all revolve along the mile and medium distance racetracks. It is the sad truth, but Uma that doesn't have a good aptitude for mile and medium will struggle a lot on the making track scenario. You will ideally want to bring the Uma to at least be aptitude for mile and medium if your Uma have bad attitude on them. This makes it more challenging for the Uma itself. As you know, even with an A aptitude, you will still sometimes lose the race. And well, there's nothing much you really can do about it. That brings us to the next tip that your UMA choice matter a lot on this scenario. I'm really sorry if you are an Oshi player that has bad aptitudes for the tracks, for example, like Karen Chan. She just have a horrible long distance aptitude and also pretty horrible medium distance aptitude with D on mall and G on medium, making it really tough for her to actually work in a Trackblazer scenario. And there's nothing you can do about it. Trackblazer scenario just simply punish you for this. The next thing about your UMA is that your UMA choice matter due to their unique. Your unique will help you win the races more easily on a certain UMA than the others. Picture it like this. I have a Same Sky and I have a Christmas Ogre. Same Sky literally have a cheating unique that is angling and scheming and will give you acceleration on most of the track and will let her win easily. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you have Christmas Ogre that needs 3 recovery skill to even activate her unique. This means you will not even have your unique for the entire scenario run, possibly. And as a result, your Christmas Ogre will lose more than running the other aces. This also doesn't only apply to Christmas Ogre, but some other Umas that have strict unique conditions. But Christmas Ogre was the easiest example that I can show you. Now, the only way to counter this is only one. You just need to compensate by buying speed skills during the middle of the career. This will help you win more race consistently in the scenario without your unique. But what if I'm still in the early part of the race and I keep losing and I cannot buy the skills? Well, sorry about this if this is harsh, but I suggest you to use the torque button and just restart the run. If, say, you already used like 3 clocks on the junior year, it's a pretty risky run to even continue further. There's some options like running the Fuku Guitar card to help with this as well, because Fuku will pad your stats by a lot for the early races. But this is definitely not the option for everyone, and some people do not have access to this card. The next tip is understanding the general strategy of the game. If the scenario is still very new to you, the whole idea of this Trackblazer scenario is really simple. I race to buy the items and I use these items on really good trading turns. It is nothing beyond that and you do not need to overcomplicate it. The general strategy of the game then just becomes really simple to understand. At the start of the game, you will naturally focus on the bonds of your cards as per usual. And after the rival race unlocks, you start racing to buy the items for stronger trainings later on. The tough question to know is when to train. There is only 3 scenarios you usually do the trainings on. The first scenario is quite easy to understand. You spend your summer training as this is where all your facilities are upgraded to level 5 and it is very easy to get good trainings here. Now, the second scenario is outside of summer trainings. This scenario is for when the trainings are really good, like double rainbow trainings, or 5 units are stacking on a training facility. The rules for clicking this is number 1, it is not on the turn of your G1 epithet race. And number 2, it is actually a good training. What I mean by a good training is usually like a double speed rainbow click or quick rainbow stamina click with like 3 peoples in it or 2 with rainbow training click. Or on the early year, it is like 4 or 5 people in a single facility for the training bonds. If you want to nerd it out, a training needs to be above 43 stats in total before clicking it. The third scenario is a forced scenario to either train or rest. This happens when you already did 3 runs in a row and you do not want to risk running the 4 races. I also want to talk about the clock usage. In a perfect world scenario, in a run, you will want to win every races that you do. But sometimes the scenario just doesn't give you that and you need to retry over and over. And with that, you need to prioritize your clock usage. I would say the only time you should be retrying over and over is only for G1 races, because it simply gives you the most stats and skill point and also matters for your epithets. G3 and G2 races are fine to lose sometimes. Second place still give you 60% of the coin. I'll use the clock on G2 and G3 races if I still have a lot of time left and it's a really bad position that give me the coins that are not worth it. If you are in a tight position with the clock attempts, second position or even the third is still acceptable. Of course, if you notice you're losing a lot, please try to grab a speed skill to prevent this, as you cannot also tank too many losses. Some more gameplay tips is that you should be saving your cool hammer for the URA finale turns, or well, we call it Twinkle Stars now. The difference is about 35% raise bonus if you miss a single gold hammer, and that is worth roughly plus 5 all stats or 25 stats for a single raise. The 20% raise bonus hammer give you plus 3 all stats or 15 stats for a single raise if you do not have the gold hammer. For the usage of the hammer itself, you can pretty much use it for G1 races during the early year up to the classic year. After entering the senior year, I suggest you pay more attention to the count of gold hammers that you have. Ideally, you want to have 2 gold hammer before entering the Twinkle Star turn. Having 3 is best if you do not want to risk it, but when entering the URA finale turns, there will be a huge shop refresh and there will be a high chance that it will include at least a hammer. Well, it can also be a 20% hammer too though. Also, be very careful to actually use the hammer before the actual race itself, and not on the training turn. This happened to myself as I didn't know the training turn is different from the race turn. So, if you hit the hammer on the training turn, you will not get any bonus for when you race. This actually also applies to your 60% megaphone that lasts 2 turns. If you activate your megaphone for training on URA finale turn, it will only last for a turn because the race itself counts as a turn. Zooming right up on the number 6 tip, resting is totally fine and it doesn't break your run. If you think you should rest because you do not have enough energy and items and you cannot tank the Muton from the races, just rest. It's that simple and you do not need to overthink it. Some people say it like you can only rest 1 or 2 times for this scenario, else your run is completely bricked, only applies to the high roll min maxer. They are hyper focused on achieving the best of the best, and those kind of run takes a lot of time and effort. The number 7 tip is regarding minor energy management from the races. This is only a small tip regarding managing energy races. It's not really brought up too much yet, but for every races that you do, mainly you always want to pick the top option as it will always consume 20 energy. The only time you want to click the bottom option is when you have roughly 15 energy. You'll just have to eyeball it because we do not have the energy meter number like in the JP version. You can gamble this so that you get hit with the 10 stamina consumption instead of straight up using 20 energy. Why is this 5 energy difference actually really important? Well, even 1 energy on the bar makes a huge difference. If you race without an energy, you are risking a mood down even though you are not on the third attempt of the race. So even a sliver of this energy helps you manage the mood of your run. And also, we've come to the last tip. This is a really small tip, but please enable this option right here. It will let you auto consume your stats book that you purchase. It's a game changer because you can cut down a lot of time instead of just clicking those books one by one. And the last thing before I end this video, I want to give you guys some information about the race bonus itself. You might have seen a lot of people saying that you need 50% race bonus and it is the recommended baseline for making your track. Well, the reason is that I will just pull up this amazing table from uman.guide website. This is the full table comparison of what you get from each race with the race bonus percentage from the deck. If you take a look at the jump from 45% race bonus to the 50% race bonus mark, you can see that for each race we do in G3 until G1, you get plus 1 extra stats and a little bit more skill points. For simplicity's sake, I'll remove the skill points out of the equations. And let's say in a career run, I run at least 30 races. This is actually probably less than what you will do in the actual run, but it's a good number, so we'll go with it. If you do 30 races in total, it equates to roughly plus 30 stats difference between 45% race bonus and 50% race bonus. From the URA finale race, or we call them the Twinkle Star race, it's plus 1 div for each stat, which equals to plus 5 stats per race. And we have 3 of these races, so it totals up to plus 15 stats. In total, you are missing about 50 stats in total. And so, with that, I just want to say it's not that if you not hit 50% race bonus, your run in Trackblazer definitely ends and you will destroy your career runs. Above the 50% race bonus, you see some increase, but not that significant of a jump. 50% to 55% roughly equates to, well, almost nothing. But 50 to 60% equates to about 30 stats plus 15 from the Twinkle Stars, and plus 1 for each G1 races that you do. 65% give you plus 1 stat for each G2 and G3 races you do, and 70% is the same with the 60% mark, that it increased roughly 30 stats. So roughly each 5% race bonus going up from the 50% race bonus give you only about 30 stats in total. That was just some interesting stuff that I would like to show you so you can understand what's going on actually behind all of these race bonuses if you want to know more about it. Anyway, that's all for this video. I hope it helped you in your career runs. Even if it helps you only a tiny bit, it will definitely make my day. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next one.